I'm Dowd Higgins. Thanks for listening to the Indiana University Alumni Association podcast series, Career Minded, featuring IU alumni from around the world with sage wisdom to help you navigate your life and career. The power of the IU Alumni Network is extraordinary, and our goal is to provide you with connections, resources, and inspiration so you can thrive. And today I am delighted to welcome IU alumnus David Vrabel. David, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Hey, I'm really excited to dive into a conversation, but let me tell our global listeners all about you. David Vrabel earned his degree in journalism from the class of 2000 from our very own Indiana University, and by his own admission, he's basically an internet troll who lucked out. But let me tell you more. He runs a humor-related motorsports Twitter account that eventually earned him a job at NASCAR Digital Media, where he's currently employed until they figure out how to get rid of him, that is. And he currently lives in Brownsburg, Indiana with his wife and 2 dogs who are possibly destroying one of his belongings as we speak. He did a 4-year stint at our very own Indiana Daily Student, and I couldn't be happier to welcome to the show, David. So let's figure this out. I'd love to tell our global listening audience how, the internet troll quality landed you a great career gig.
Well, I think really if I had to, put some serious analysis into it, I always equate it to maybe 99.5% luck as in good timing. There might be 0.5% of talent in there, but I'll never really... knowing myself, I'll never really go any further on that estimate. But really what we did was right when Twitter was kind of in its infancy, I forget what year it was, back when it was kind of fun and not as, I'd say kind of sort of bitter as it is now.
Yeah.
We just started the account randomly on a whim. There was absolutely no rhyme or reason or plan behind it. I think that's how most Twitter accounts start. They're very, very easy to create, and you just do it without much of a plan or a strategy. And I guess it was kind of, one of the first ones that started poking fun at the motorsports world. It was, something I'd been a fan of for several years prior. And lo and behold, just kind of more and more people paid attention to it. And it kind of led to this gig at NASCAR Digital Media, which I still think is pretty surreal to this day.
So you admit that you've been a NASCAR fan for years and then literally turned it into a career opportunity.
Yeah. And again, you got to thank Twitter for that. It was really, I don't have much of a, I would say, not working knowledge of the sport. I'm not a motorsports engineer. I don't know how wind tunnels work or how to calculate fuel mileage or anything like that. Again, basically just a troll.
But you are an experienced journalist, I should say, earning your journalism degree from IU in 2000. So clearly some of those transferable skills came into play. Talk to me a little bit, David, about social media and really how it's empowered you, not only in the beginning, but now.
Really, it's just a way to immediately get something out there, whether it's a thought, whether it's a joke. Again, it allows you to immediately do that, and in this day and age, obviously, the 24 what we used to call the 24-hour news cycle, that's dead and gone.
Yeah.
That is you could put that in a time capsule. Right now, something happens and immediately it's getting reported, discussed, call it what you will, on social media channels. And so, that's why, on a day like yesterday, for instance, we woke up to news that our most popular driver, Dale Earnhardt Jr., would be retiring at the end of 2017. And so, immediately you got to start thinking, reacting, and getting stuff out there while it's hot. So I'd say that's the largest benefit.
Yeah, it's real time, right? I mean, it's
Yes.
not even, as you said, the 24-hour news cycle. It's just instantaneous. So let me ask, you're a funny guy. I mean, clearly, you've got this great sense of humor, which also, I believe, is incredibly palpable and evident in your writing. Do you feel restricted by Twitter since it's so brief, or is it liberating?
No, I think the benefit of Twitter and why I hope they never, ever expand past 140 characters, it forces you to be concise. And, nowadays the attention spans are that of a gnat. We're not, we're long form journalism. I enjoy reading it, but I would say the amount of kids these days who will, sit down and read uber thousands of words on a particular topic, probably pretty slim to none. And like I said, the benefit of those 140 characters is you are forced into taking this thought, whether it's a joke or, a rational thought. I think this applies to everybody and not just internet trolls like myself, but, it forces you to condense it down into a very quick, easily digestible single 2-sentence thought.
Yeah.
And so I think it helps people in, being concise and getting to the point quicker.
Now, you and I are in agreement that some people take social media liberties to a point where they can be mean and aggressive and, inappropriate, right? I think that the ethics of journalism is do no harm, tell the truth. So how do you maintain humor without going over to the dark side? Good sound effect.
The dark side.
Or maybe the dark side sells.
Oh, exactly. I would say, boy, the best way to, this is probably not very good advice. The best way to learn how to not accidentally go over to the dark side is to, at one point early on, go to the dark side.
Okay.
And, I'm not going to go into detail, but I did that early on because, when you're trying to, gain your footing, as it were, as a troll, you're reaching the line and you're eventually going to cross it. And I did that a couple times. I made a couple people mad. And, to me, there's not really joy or happiness in making people legitimately mad or, trying to actually be vitriolic on this medium. What you're hoping to do is kind of sort of poke a little fun at them at their expense at most. You just like kind of sort of elbowing them in the ribs over Twitter, like, haha, wasn't that good? And the response, I'm happy to say, has been like really good. A lot of these drivers, a lot of these teams have tremendous senses of humor, and they play along great with a lot of this stuff. Not all of them, but most of them. But again, like early on when I'd make a joke that would be, of questionable taste or call it what you will, I heard back and I was not happy with myself. If I'm told like that was too far, or it was usually more profanity laced than that. But that's what's kind of upsetting now is, there's people who take being blocked by somebody on Twitter or whatever as, a badge of honor. They're like, oh yeah, look at me, I got blocked. To me, it's like, I don't want really that to happen.
Right.
I would not be proud of that.
We'll be right back with more Career Minded. But what I'm hearing, too, is that you are looking to create a conversation, right? And a dialogue with someone. So poking humor and in jest and trying to stir a conversation seems to work.
Yeah, it really does. It really does. It's, like you said, you're hoping to start the conversation. A lot of times it doesn't start anything. It's just a single solitary joke sitting out there. Sometimes the driver will pick up on it. A lot of times they'll just, ignore it. And rightfully so. These are busy athletes who got probably better things to do to be messing around with the troll. But, but when they do, it's a pretty phenomenal thing.
So let me ask, we have a lot of people who aspire to do similar things, perhaps with NASCAR, perhaps with other entities, in really leveraging social media, whether it's Facebook or Twitter or Instagram, pick your social media play space. Mm-hmm. What's your advice to them? How do they get started? How do they monetize it, David?
Boy, monetizing, that's hard. And, along the way, I really wish I would have written down thoughts I had because, I never expected to actually be working for NASCAR Digital Media. And when I get asked that question, I have to be like, well, give me about a half hour to think about that because this all kind of happened in a really whirlwind manner that I didn't really pay much attention to. But I'd say the most important thing you have to do, whether it's Facebook, whether it's Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, whatever, you have to think about what has not been done yet. And that's kind of one of the things that sort of benefited me early on was not many people were out, trolling and making terrible jokes about motorsports at the time. And again, like I said, being early into this, that's what sort of helped. But, it's, as soon as It did, yeah. Other accounts sprang up, and a lot of them were a lot funnier than me, to be quite honest. But like I said, being first helps. But you have to look out there, and be like, what what has not been done? If I do this account, or if I approach it in this way, is this completely original? Is this something that people cannot get anywhere else?
Is life on the internet so short-lived that you're already thinking about what's next, or do you feel like this is a good gig for at least the foreseeable future?
It's okay for the foreseeable future. To be honest, I thought I ought to shut this account down long ago. I really did, because like you said, the lifespan of, internet fake. I forget who it was. I think I saw it on Weekend Update once, or it might have been a Saturday Night Live skit where someone, there was a character. He was like, "I am what you would call internet famous," and the host says, "What do you mean by that?" He goes, "Not at all famous." And that's kind of what it feels like. I mean, internet fame. It's pretty low. It's down there beneath like VH1 reality show contestant. It's a pretty base, pretty low level of fame. And like I said, you have to kind of be looking ahead at all times, because it's you never know, the plug can be pulled at any minute. So you got to have a little backup, as it were.
Got to be nimble, right?
Yes, you do.
So,
Yes,
David,
you
let
do.
me ask, are you just tethered to your phone? Is that where you tweet? What's your relationship with your cell phone?
Oh boy, oh boy. Let's just say I've gone through many protective screens
Yeah.
and cases. It's unfortunately it's a frequent thing, and you have to be on it, learning about anything that happens kind of at a moment's notice. And so there have been times at social events or games or whatever that I have to be like, pardon me, everybody, and I have to go check out the phone and see what's happened, and react to it, or submit stuff.
Yeah.
It's that kind of thing. But the part that's the upside is my wife is a medical practitioner who occasionally has to be on call, and so in her own way she has to
She
do the
gets
same
it.
thing.
Yeah.
Except she's saving lives. I am merely trolling. So the value of both, I'd say society benefits much more from her.
Can you ever disconnect and digitally detox, or is that just not an option while you're working?
I've tried. I've really tried, and it's just weird. And I think it's a symptom of just cell phone culture, where you try to disconnect, and the thought initially seems really inviting, and just really this wonderful utopian. Oh gosh, I'm just gonna turn my phone off and disconnect. Within 10 minutes, you're like, what am I missing?
Yeah, you're
What am I
sweating.
missing right now? Yeah. It's like, am I missing something? Did something happen? I found that the best way to do it is to take a vacation to somewhere where your carrier does not provide service.
There you go.
Then you're forced, because you're like, am I willing to pay roaming charges to find out how this race ended? No, I'm really not. So you just, like I said, you just kind of physically have to force yourself into it.
Excellent advice. So, David, as we wrap up, walk me down memory lane. Tell me about a favorite memory of your time at Indiana University.
Boy, I've like, one thing I heard about college is your favorite memories are the one you can't remember. But
Or you can't repeat, right?
oh yeah, the favorite that I can't remember or you can't repeat. I would just have to say that going back to the Indiana Daily Student, just there's not one particular moment, but just being part of that staff for 4 years was kind of sort of the my favorite moments combined from being there, because I can recall we had like big news events there happen, and just being there late at night, getting everything laid out, put to bed, and off to the printer in time. The journalism classes obviously help, but to me, at least while I was working, for newspapers back in the earlier career, nothing prepared me more for the just the reality of working at one than the Indiana Daily Student did. It was completely invaluable. And so I just have to say, working there, and I still talk to tons of people from the IDS today. A big group of contacts. It's a big, wonderful, network out there of people. It's so I would just put it, back to working at the IDS.
Excellent. Hey,
Yeah.
any advice for those that are soon to be minting their degrees and are now media school as they forge their first career path?
Boy, oh boy. I don't really know how to. What I don't know what to tell them necessarily because the field is in such transition right now. There's I guess you would just have to dig deep and find those few places out there that still value your traditional objective journalism. It's unfortunately seems like in this day and age that if you're a skilled writer who can cultivate sources and maintain an objective approach, that would be, you could walk into a job interview and present those skills and they'd be like, yeah, whatever. Are you really good at yelling over people in a studio? Because that's kind of, the way things are going. But there are, those places out there. And the hope is that the way things are going with the current political landscape, it really seems like traditional journalism is going back on the rise now. People are paying more attention to it, and the appetite has been re-instigated or whatever it was. So
Good stuff. David Vrabel, what a joy to have you on the show. Thank you for sharing your wisdom and expertise with IU alumni around the world. I wish you continued success in all of your internet trolling, and NASCAR Digital is lucky to have you.
thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thanks, David. And I want to thank all of our alumni for tuning in to Career Minded, produced by the Indiana University Alumni Association Career and Professional Development Team. The podcast is available on the IUAA iTunes channel as well as SoundCloud, and we hope that you'll share the shows you like via social media. Our goal is to empower you throughout your professional life because at IUAA, we've got your back. Thanks for listening.